Miss Martin Muses and Pub Crawl with none other than, oh my goodness, Fatal J. You look very excited to be here.
I am. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me.
Yes, and this is your Miss Martin Muses debut. This is the first time you're on my channel, so it's exciting.
Yes, it's been a long time coming, man. I've always see you in the chats, and it just warms my heart every time I see you there. And just to be on your channel, man, I'm just feeling warm and squimmy. And you know how gummy worms taste? That's how I feel right now, all
Oh my.
squishy in the inside. You know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And wow, that's quite a compliment. No, this is great. And for those of you that know, Fatal J, he's been around for a long time. He's has his own channel. Be sure to subscribe to him if you haven't. And also Dark Council, one of the founding members, I think, of the Dark Council, or definitely very soon after that. And in our chat, we have none other than Potato Revan. I'm not here. I'm hiding in Miss Martin Muse's roof. Shush, don't tell her. Well, that's impressive, especially since apparently he flew all the way from Ireland. He is our resident Irish wrench.
Well, hold on. Let me check my edit. Is you up there, Potato? Just give me one knock. Let me know.
Okay, that's great. Well, those of you that know and that Fatal J, among being a creator and commentator and all sorts of good fun stuff, you've also been making some comics. One comic so far has come out, and then your next, and your next one is upcoming. The second one, and here I just put this up here where you can sign up and get emails. So
thank you so much. Yes, it's called Ninja Blast. If you like anime, if you like action, if you like karate type stuff, if you like ninjutsu and ninjas and all that type of stuff, and it's all rolled in one, then you need to get Ninja Blast. Speaking of all rolled in one, I've created a snack out there that I think people will like, and I need to figure out how to sell that too. It's Captain Crunch, it's marshmallows, it's Hershey chocolate bars, it's graham crackers, and you roll it all in one. You make it into a big ball. You put it into the oven for 1 minute or 2 minutes, and you have a fatal-tastic snack. Okay. Now, that didn't have nothing to do with my comic book, but I still been having it on my mind for a while. Those ingredients, if I see somebody come out there with that snack, I'm getting you and I'm suing you because that's my snack. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to try to make it actually. Sometimes I do cooking here on my channel and I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like awesome and a one-way ticket to diabetes.
Yes.
But hey, that's okay. We relatively endorse diabetes here on Miss Martin Muses. We're all getting older though, so we got to start to be careful.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh dear. Potato Revan is breaks through, lands on floor. Oh my gosh. Wish I'm here. Sub to you, Jay. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that, Potato Revan.
Thank you.
Nice. Glad to see you loved Avatar as much as I did. Oh, is this the new Avatar?
It's the new Avatar. It came out on Netflix. It came out 2 days ago. Everybody was going nuts about the M. Night Shyamalan version, the live action. I actually like that version too, but I could see why people hate it. I saw the first episode. It's 8 episodes of the new series on Netflix, which is the live action. They killed it. It was absolutely great. I loved everything about it. The acting from the kids and the CGI, the bending, the world building, everything looked great. So yeah, you definitely should check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about it because I know that some people were very happy with it. I was seeing a lot of mixed things coming on my timeline on X because, again, people were like, "This is awesome. This is great. This is what we're looking for." And some people, I think, maybe were concerned about some of the changes that they may have made, but I'm not familiar with it, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, check it out for yourself because you got some people out there who hates everything. And then you have some people who get paid to hate everything, but they secretly like it. What I think you should do is just go watch it yourself and be your own judge. You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely agree with that. Because if everything is terrible, then nothing is terrible. I mean, true?
That's like a Jedi mind phrase you just put on me. And now I'm going to be thinking about that all night long. If everything is terrible, everything is not terrible. That's deep.
Yeah. Well, I wish I'd come up with that on my own. That's just me making a play on the, Incredibles, I believe, from the cartoon.
Oh,
I wish
gotcha.
I'd come up with that myself. Oh, look who's here. It's Biggles. We love Biggles here at Miss Martin Muses. Two of my favorite people in one place. Yay. And thank you, Soul Assassin, for subbing to Fatal J and all of you that are doing it. Taylor Swift, greater than Star Wars. Follow Fatal on X. I still want to call it
A
Twitter.
lot of
Also,
these people in here are my members too. Shout out to y'all for being a
oops.
member of the Fatal J show. Y'all keep the
Mm,
lights on at my
yes.
house, literally.
Yep, done right. Yes, thank you for the Indiegogo. Excellent. So, yes, I've been seeing that in the news. Also, um, you mentioned that you wanted to maybe talk about Tolkien. So, do you want to
Well,
share a little bit of? Oh,
we can
sorry.
go anywhere you want to, but this is the thing about me. I know that you are a Tolkien fan out there. I want to ask you this question: out of the Hobbit, the Silmarillion, and the three books of Lord of the Rings, which one is your favorite? Which one do you gravitate to more?
Oh, definitely the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is the magnum opus. I feel like The Hobbit is really cute. It's like a kid's book. It's a
It's
cute
definitely a
adventure.
kid book because when
Yeah.
I was in the fourth grade, I read it. And let me tell
Mhm.
you something about myself. I'm dumb. So if I can read a book and understand it in the fourth grade, it must be a really easy read. So
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed The Hobbit. And I think The Hobbit is always a great introduction into the Tolkien universe. But I definitely agree it is the magnus opus of Tolkien's work. But you don't think the Silmarillion is? Now, I will see why you wouldn't say the Silmarillion though, because that's really like all his stuff mashed together as well, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think that you can't compare The Lord of the Rings to the Silmarillion because they're trying to do something completely different. The Silmarillion is like the lore. It's if you were to put it in modern terms, it's like the Bible, and it's written like the Bible. It's written like a big myth, and it's a collection of tales. It's not one huge coherent story, though there is a thread going through it. But it's like reading mythology, and so it's
Yeah.
really deep, it's beautiful. There are some stories in there, Beren and Luthien, Feanor and the Silmarils and all the stuff with Melkor and the way that Tolkien writes the creation of everything with music. Of course, as a musician, I just die because I love that so much.
Yeah, because
So
that's how they created Middle Earth is with music.
Yeah, I mean, well, not just everything, yeah, and including even bad guys like Sauron and the Mire, yes,
Sauron,
yeah,
Sauron,
and
and Melkor was the one that set everything off bad because
yeah,
he wanted to do his own thing, So
exactly,
you kind of right. That's because that's exactly how the Bible is. Everything was going well until Lucifer wanted to do his own thing. So I'm
yeah,
pretty sure Tolkien took inspiration from the Bible when he was writing the Silmarillion as well. One of my favorite stories in the Silmarillion is probably my favorite story out of all of Tolkien's work. Is the first king slaying, the first kin slaying.
oh, yes, Feanor,
Like
what a joke,
Feanor, yeah. I definitely would like to see that movie
oh,
wise, but I know in my lifetime it will never happen. It'll probably never happen, period. But I would love to see that like in an animation form or see that in a live action movie. But I don't think the masses will understand it. You know what I mean? Because they like the Amazon Lord of the Rings that they try to tie that into Lord of the Rings, and that's
ugh,
just something you can't do.
no. Yeah. Well, and what I would say is I don't think it's a problem with the fandom or the people. I think that we understand it. It's the idiots that are making these things that don't understand it. Because if they
Yeah,
were to like, I don't want them to touch the any of the stories, and not the Silmarillion, not the Kelebeth.
yeah, because
Or,
they will ruin it. Now, let me
yeah.
ask you this though: what if we had a chance for Barian and Luthien or one of those stories to be made, and Peter Jackson was over it, and he had complete control over it? Would you want him to do it?
1,000 times, 1,000 times. Can you imagine? Well, first of all, I would love if they had the rights to the Silmarillion and all of the creation stories, and Peter Jackson were in charge, they could do one of the best TV series ever because they could have like the first part being Feanor and the Oath and the kinslaying, all
Yeah.
of that,
And
and
see,
then
all
a
the
whole.
epic stories, that's how I would want them to do it, Teresa. I would want them to do, like, let's just say a story here, a
Mhm,
story here. It won't have to be an entire series of just certain characters. Just jump to story to story.
mhm, Beren and Luthien, the children of Húrin. I mean, you talk about a epic tale of woe
And that
and
was
misery.
a sad tale, man.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
got everybody got slaughtered in a sad way, man.
Everyone died.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel sorry for the poor chick who found out she married her brother and she was pregnant, and of course, in despair, throws herself from a cliff. That just
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that would just be so awesome. Oh, well, look who's here. It is Mark with a C. He's also been here on Pub Crawl. It's a legendary Fatal J. You're in the big time now, Miss Martin. Oh, dear. No, I'm.
No, I'm in the big times now being on this channel.
Oh, well,
Shout
thank
out
you.
to
You're.
Mark with a C, Dark Council alumni. Glad you're here, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you haven't subbed to Mark with a C, actually, please sub to everyone on here. Potato Revan,
So
he
to
does
everybody.
a lot of movie talk and the like on Friday nights. Biggles, of course, has his wild and crazy stuff. I think a lot of anime and video games. Uh-oh. They're talking about Cork. This is a thing. If you're Cork is a city in Ireland. That's where I was from. And Potato Revan's from a different city. So we have a bit of a
Well, see,
rivalry.
I'm a Star Trek fan, so when they said Quark, I thought they was talking about the guy from Deep Space Nine. You watch Star Trek?
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, heck yes. I was an original Star Trek person. I used to watch the reruns with my grandmother in the afternoon and then I actually went to the cinema with my grandmother and my mother to see the original motion picture.
Teresa, me and you can be friends. That's how similar I was raised.
Mhm.
My parents, they had to work a lot when I was a baby, when I was young. So I would spend a lot of nights at my grandparents' house on the weekends. And I knew, like, based on what TV shows was coming on, that it was getting closer for me to go to bed. My grandmother had like 12 channels. That's all she had was basic TV. And I know when Star Trek Next Generation came on, and when MASH came on, it was time for me to go to bed. But
Mhm.
that's how I got into Star Trek, by watching Next Generation.
Oh, yeah. And that was big. That came out when I was in middle school, and I remember we would watch it. It would come out, new episodes would come out every Monday evening, and then Deep Space Nine happened, then Voyager, and Enterprise was good, but not great
I
until
keep
the end, of
hearing
course.
Enterprise is good. Enterprise takes the timeline is when they started to do space exploration, right?
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones with the Federation and the first Enterprise. Rather, the first spaceship Enterprise. It was good, but it took a while to get into its stride. And by the time it did, they canceled it, so only had 4 seasons. However, compared to what they're doing right now with Star Trek, Enterprise looks like a masterpiece. So
Yeah,
I
because when I watched
consider,
that when I watched
yeah,
that space that Discovery, oh
uh,
man,
yeah,
why
and
bother?
my
You
mom's an
know?
original. Yeah, she's an original Trekker. She used to watch Star Trek in her dorm at college, like, back in the day when they just had one little black and white TV
Yeah.
downstairs in your dorm. That's how they would all watch Star Trek, she and my dad too. And so that's how long she's been a fan of Star Trek. And when Discovery came out, I didn't tell her. She just went to watch it with my dad and my brother, and they were just like, "This is not Star Trek. This
You
is
like
this is just awful."
do you like Strange New Worlds?
I haven't even touched it. I just reached a point where after the whole Jake Skywalker thing, I I I don't wanna see any of this new stuff, and I heard enough bad things that I wanna keep in my head the fond memories I have of the old stuff.
I can tell you when Star Trek went bad. And it's one guy,
Mhm.
and this one guy have literally single-handedly himself ruined two franchises that everybody love. J.J. Abrams. When
Mm.
J.J. Abrams came out with those
Mhm.
Star Trek movies, that's when Star Trek took a nosedive. When J.J. Abrams brought back Star Wars, that's when Star Wars took a
Mhm.
nosedive. J.J. Abrams single-handedly destroyed it. Now, I'm so glad that James Gunn is taking over the DCU because it was a man that they was going to put over DC Studios. It was going to be J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's proven. He's proven to be a hack. He's proven to destroy things. He want to make stuff modern, you know? And
Mhm.
that was the beautiful thing about Star Trek and Star Wars. It wasn't modern. The stuff that's going on now, the politics now, the social commentary now was not in there. Now they did do social commentary stuff, but they did it in a
Mhm.
genius way, in a creative way
Yes.
of writing, like in D Space Nine when they were speaking on
Yeah.
racism. That episode when it was like they was back in the olden days, that was one of the best episodes ever. Yeah,
Mhm.
Kurtzman too, most definitely.
Yeah, and that's something else that, is a very famous story about Martin Luther King was
What up, Steve?
talking to yeah, hey, to Ahura, the, Nichelle Nichols, that just her being on the deck, being an African
Because she
American
was
and a
getting
woman.
ready to quit the show.
Mhm,
Yeah.
and he told her, "No, you can't do that," and so yes, there was quote unquote social commentary, but it was just there. And they just acted like it was no big deal that there was a black woman on the bridge.
The first
That,
interracial kiss on television was on
yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah, her and Kirk. Yeah, may she rest in peace. So it is true that they had social commentary, and some of them they were parables for modern times. But as you said, it wasn't like on the nose, and it wasn't ridiculous. You didn't feel like you were sitting in the worst and longest sermon you've ever sat in with a religion you don't believe in. I think that's the best way to describe what they're trying to do right now with these shows.
I'm convinced it all boils down to the writing. What
Mhm.
happened
Oh,
to these creative writers? Did they die out? Did they quit? What are they?
yeah. Well, I think that they're being constrained, how there's more and more stuff coming out where they actually have people coming in, like, you have to have this kind of a story, you have to have that kind of story, and yeah, Filoni, he and JJ, they wrecked Star Wars, and because of their pride, that's another thing. I think a lot of these people wanted to be George Lucas, they wanted to be Peter Jackson for the Rings of Power, people want to be Peter Jackson, people wanted to be Steven Spielberg, and they can't be unless they do the same creativity that they do, and so they think they just need to slap the name on it, and it's like, "Okay, you got JJ, I'll be just like the creator of Star Trek, look at me," but all they're doing is just copying and pasting and then trying to mold it in their own images. We
But
have
that's
pride.
disrespectful. I'm gonna tell you why it's disrespectful because that means you think I'm dumb as a viewer. And what I
Mhm,
mean by that, you said something perfectly. You said that if they just slap the name on there, people will be like, oh my God, this is magnificent. This is great.
mhm,
No, we're not gonna do that. We proved you plenty of times that people really care about this stuff. They're passionate about this stuff. And
mhm,
the writing is terrible. And we see that it's terrible. You think we're just gonna be mindless drones or mindless zombies and be like, oh, Star Trek, I'm gonna like it. No, now you have some people out there that's like that, but the majority of people are waking up and they're seeing that this is not good quality stuff. Like I'm gotten to the point now, I want to read books instead of watching television. I used to
well,
be glued to the TV screen, and now I just want to crack open a book and just Use my imagination. Something I haven't did since I was a child. Just use my imagination now because these shows, they're not good anymore.
No, they're not. And I like what you said because one direction that Steeg actually stirred me in was the old Dragonlance books, the Dritz books, Forgotten Realms based from Dungeons and Dragons, the Terry Brooks ones, like a lot of those 80s ones, just how daggone good they are. And it's like having new material because I didn't read them when I was a kid growing up. So
Yeah,
I'm able to go back and enjoy them.
yeah. And the beautiful thing, I think that's why even if something is real good, let's just say Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones was real good, like the first few seasons, a
Hmm.
lot of people were still pissed off because they was using their imagination when they was reading those books and already had the characters made up in their mind.
Yeah.
Uh, how these characters look and all this type of stuff. So yeah, man, get back to reading books and using your imagination like we was a kid.
Yeah, and I like what you said because Game of Thrones really was a great show the first few seasons, like you said, it was
It
great
really
the first
was.
few and then the second they got away from the books, then it was bad. And yeah.
Isn't that funny? That shows you it's the writing. As
Mhm.
soon as they got away from the books, that's when it tanked. It went bad. And
Yeah,
I
and
think
everyone.
that's a fine example of what's going on television. They're not going by the blueprint. They're not going by the books. They're not going by the comics. They want to do their own thing, and it's failing. It's
And
definitely
they think
failing.
they can do it better. Yeah, and Steek says when you have to put reality into all kinds of fiction, there's no room for imagination and fantasy. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And I want to say this about Star Trek. Star Trek, from the outside looking in, people would be like, Star Trek is boring. As somebody who've never seen Star Trek in their life, because
Mhm.
as a kid that was born and raised in the hood, I watched Star Trek and I started using my brain. I started using my mind because it taught me how to think. It taught me how to think my way through situations. When I was watching Next Generation, I was a young black kid wanting to be a bald white guy. I wanted to be Jean-Luc Picard because it was so magnificent to me to see him in all these deadly alien space situations, and he used his brain to get out of all of it. It just blew me away.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about Star Trek too, it unlocked the secrets for me. If you want to know how to run your own business, watch Star Trek. Cork, he'll show you how
Mhm.
to run a business.
Rules of acquisition.
The acquisitions of the Ferengi. He's cutthroat, man. But
Yeah.
have you ever read the rules of acquisition? It's actually one on the internet. It's hilarious, but it's great business advice. It's great
Yeah,
business advice.
I remember it started off a little bit as a running gag, and then people started to write them down, and
They wrote
he
them
has these.
down because Cork he will always say a rule on an episode, so
Uh-huh.
everybody was just collecting them and putting them all together.
Yeah, and Potato Ribbon says a good thing about Star Trek, yeah, Star Trek teaches us no matter where you grow up, you can be better. Yeah, and from all over the
Yeah.
world, all over the different galaxy, and Steek says, "If you don't use magic in your words, you will never write anything magical." Mhm. And I wanted to be Alex Foley, even tried the banana trick. It works, okay, I'm not sure or Axel Foley, yeah, and
You ever see that? Tom from Midnight Edge. He kept telling me, Fatal J, you need to see Beverly
yeah.
Hill Cops. I've never seen Beverly Hill Cops in my life. I know exactly what he was talking about with the banana trick.
Oh,
I watched that for the first time and I was like, where have I been all my life? This is an awesome series right here.
yeah, and
Yeah, you need
of
to check it out.
yeah. Well, I will. I've been trying to see a lot of these ones that I missed because I'm a girl. I know that women are supposed to it's supposed to be for everybody, but girls tended to girl things and guys tended to guy things.
Oh
And
yeah, most definitely. Go watch Barbie with her. I heard Barbie was good.
I actually liked Barbie better than I was supposed to because, but I know what people were saying, but it actually was a relatively balanced movie. But like, I mean, I loved Karate Kid, I loved Star Wars, I loved all of those, but the hardcore action ones, that wasn't a thing for me. So I've been going into them now, and I forget if I read it out. I had flashed it up about what Mark with the C said about everything being too political. Oh gosh, everyone is just going crazy now. Apparently, I'm the only one that didn't recognize the name. Now, I have seen Beverly Hills Cop, but I guess I just Oh, wait, the banana trick. Isn't that where they put it in the pipe of the car? That's
He
what
put
it
it
was.
he put it in the pipe and their car was messing up.
Oh gosh. Oh, Lethal Weapon man movie. Oh, I'll tell you, I like Lethal Weapon. I believe it is a true Christmas movie, and it has a very powerful message about deleting yourself and not deleting yourself, finding a home.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen the only Lethal Weapon I seen was the first one, and
Mhm.
yeah, that dude was he was thinking about deleting himself throughout the whole movie, but he found a family that loved him and took him in, and
Mhm.
he was all gun ho for them, you know.
Yeah. And, Steak says, "Check out the 248 Hours movie too." More Eddie Murphy Gold. Oh,
I
well, of
I
course.
seen I seen bits and pieces of Fresh 48, but I need to watch it again.
Oh, you'll love it. And speaking of
Yeah,
which, people keep saying, "Oh, we've never had movies with diverse casts." You just showed it right there. I mean, Lethal Weapon, the main cast was the family, and that's where Mel Gibson found his home in an African American family. You had mixed races in all of these that movies
I'm
back in the
just
80s.
convinced that people are stupid or they're not old enough to have seen these movies, because
Mhm.
that was like that girl that was in the hunting games. What was that
Oh,
actress name? That chick
Rachel
literally said,
Zegler.
no, not her. The
Oh, the
one
other one.
before her,
Oh, Jennifer
Jennifer
some
Lawrence. Was it Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Lawrence literally said, and I believe she really did believe this, that she was the first female action star on a film.
And
And I think when she said that, I think she literally believed that. And I
Mhm.
think that's the mind frame of a lot of people in Hollywood. They think they're the first and haven't seen other movies before.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, for crying out loud, everyone knows that. Yeah, speaking of Stig, yeah, Aliens and Predator, diverse
Yeah,
cast.
Aliens, one of my favorite movies out there. Kill Bill. Oh man.
Yep. And
Uh
yes, Mark with a C, the 80s gave us a ton of diversity. And I agree, Lethal Weapon is one of the ones with no bad entries. Watch all four of them. You will just love them. They were just
yeah, see,
awesome.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, I
I didn't see
recommend.
the
I'm,
other.
I'm giving you homework. You need to
You think
watch
they're
these.
ever
I
gonna
think
come
you'll
back
love it.
together? Because they still alive. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. I think they still alive, right? Both of them
Yes,
still
they're
alive.
planning on doing Lethal Weapon 5, and I think it got
Well, they better
delayed
hurry up because
slightly.
Danny Glover is like 5,000 years old. They better
Oh, I
hurry.
know. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Steve points out about Conan the Barbarian. Yeah. Diverse as heck.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's my stuff. When it comes to
Mhm.
ninja kung fu and when it comes to savage barbarian type movies, oh man, Conan the Barbarian, I have you shed in tears. That's just epic cinema at its greatest.
Mhm.
It's-
And the great soundtrack. Well, I think I recommended to you the new Conan comics that are out with Titan. That those are amazing, and now they're coming out in graphic novel form.
I think I peeped those. What they call them though? They don't call them Conan. Don't they call them?
Oh, are you
What do they
thinking of the
call 'em?
Savage Sword of Conan?
No, it's another Conan series that's real good, but I think for uh not getting sued purposes, they call it the Sumerian. Have you read those?
Oh, I have heard of that. Yeah, it's like
They're
it's put a
good.
bunch together. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I would recommend reading those new ones, and they're coming out with Savage Sword of Conan. So with Solomon
Okay.
Kane. Oh, speaking of Solomon Kane, yeah, everyone in the audience knows what we're talking about. I love it. Yeah,
I want to say this too. Now, believe it or not, since we talking about Conan, how did you feel about the Conan movie with Jason Momoa?
I felt that Jason Momoa did a really good job. He to
He
me
did.
was more like physically definitely more like Conan, and I think he did it really well. I
He had
think that
more of a Conan look than Arnold,
oh
even though
yes.
Arnold movie was top tier. But if you that look,
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa definitely had more of a look of Conan than Arnold did.
Yeah, definitely, because Conan's supposed to be dark-haired and the stark eyes, and, I thought Russell Crowe was great. The beginning of it was good. My only problem with it was the second half. I think the story, the villains, it was really dumb, and so it
I
kinda
think
went
that's what
downhill.
hurt the movie. What hurt the
Mhm.
movie was the villain. The villain, now they don't nobody care about that. What made Arnold movie good, you had freaking James Earl Jones.
Oh, yeah.
How
Hell
can you
yeah.
lose? How can you
Yeah.
lose with a villain like James Earl Jones, Darth Vader himself, you know?
Yeah, I've heard great stories about him. Then, yeah, that's what they're saying, that's what we were just saying, was perfectly cast. And Mark with a C says, "I'm gonna go to the comic shop tomorrow looking for those Conan comics." Do it. It's with Titan
Oh yeah, because
Comics.
I'm a big fan of Conan comics. I got a whole bunch in my closet.
Mhm,
Conan, and I'm a big fan of Red Sonja. I love
mm,
Red Sonja comic books too.
yeah. And Steve
And oh,
says,
they're coming out with a Red Sonja movie too. Is
"They
one coming out soon.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm gonna wait and see." Just because anymore nowadays, you just get nervous whenever something new comes out.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. You're right. You can't get too excited. And that's
Yeah.
sad, the times we living in. You can't get excited no more. You remember when they said episode 3 is coming out of Star Wars? Your
Mhm,
heart started pumping. You start getting your blood pressure started going up. You start
mhm.
getting excited, but now it's we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I remember the excitement of all all of the Star Wars movie, at least the original 6, because I was really little, everyone was talking about the first one, and then, of course, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then the prequels. It was, so amazing, and that's what it should have been like for the sequels if they'd have stuck with it.
Uh I had the honor. Now I'm 37 years old. And I had the honor when I was in, I want to say I was in the 5th grade. I was in the 5th grade, and episode 1 was coming out. Episode 1 of Star Wars was coming
Mhm,
out. Now, I didn't know anything about episode 1, but they had a thing where in the theaters they was re-showing the original 3. So I had the honor of being in the movie theater and seeing Empire Strikes Back. Now, this was by accident because
mhm.
my aunt and my cousin, they was taking me to see this movie with Whitney Houston in it called The Preacher's Wife or something along those lines. Something happened to the movie real. It broke or did something, and they told them, uh, do you want your money back or do you want to see another movie? We got another movie coming up soon. And my aunt asked us, what did we want to do? My cousin, she's a girl, she didn't care. And I looked up at the marquee and saw Luke Skywalker and Vader, and I said, that looks cool. Can we see that?
Oh my
And
gosh.
I changed my life ever since then watching that. Now, this was so funny. Me, my aunt, and my cousin was the only ones in the movie theater. Now I'm watching the movie, and every blue moon I would look at my cousin, and my aunt. They went to sleep. They was bored to death.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sitting in the movie theaters with popcorn and a drink, just like this.
Wow. I will
I'm
tell
like,
you.
how can they be freaking sleep right now? This is incredible.
Oh, that just brings me back, and that's the way we all felt when we first saw Star Wars. It just blew everybody away.
Now, Miss
Uh,
Martin, I love your brain. I like how you think. What is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Objectively speaking, the absolute favorite one is The Empire Strikes Back. That one was just flawless and perfect, but A New Hope, because A New Hope was what started it all, and it it just that whole Death Star sequence at the end, it was just so perfect, and when they
Miss
blew up the Death Star.
Miss Martin, I'm gonna tell you like this. You think like I do.
Mhm,
Uh I used to, looking back, I used to say Empire Strikes Back.
mhm.
But one day I did a deep dive. I went back and watched all 6. And I can honestly say A New Hope is my favorite. And the reason why I can say New Hope is my favorite, is because I went through a bunch of emotions watching that movie, and that
Mhm.
movie was just perfect. It was nothing wrong with the movie. The part that really pulls me in and really make me get emotional is it seemed like don't nobody ever speak on this part. It was the part when Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker came back from the wilderness or desert or whatever, and Luke saw the stormtroopers burned his parents up.
Oh, yeah,
Now
yeah, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, R.I.P.
they were just toasted. Now Luke Luke didn't show any emotions at all. No emotions. He just got into the speeder and continued his journey. Every time I see that part, I get onions in my eyes because I'm like, how bad eyes is this man to where he doesn't even take time to mourn? He just continue with the journey. That part always get me every single
Yeah.
time. And
Well, and he
the part where he's looking at the two sons,
yes, uh-huh,
and
and the music.
he's just, you can tell that he want to be more than what he is. And I think
Yeah,
every human being comes to a point like that, like, who am I? What am I? I know I'm supposed to do more. I know what is my purpose. I could tell all that was going through his brain when he was looking at those two sons. So that's why A New Hope is perfect to me. It has to be
oh,
my favorite. It's my
yeah.
favorite one. Yeah.
And, yes, this is true. Stieg says the Hoth scenes were filmed not too far from where I live. Yes, in Norway.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so they were really freezing in those scenes. It's cold. Yeah, from what I understand,
That's an
the scene.
amazing scene too. That's an amazing opening.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
to steal Steve's story about it, it was actually parts of it were filmed. There was a hotel, and when you see Luke stumble out, he's stumbling out of the hotel. So Mark Hamill, the poor bastard, had to go out and stumble out in that freezing cold
Yeah.
and then collapse. And it's great. Oh,
Yeah.
fun times. Yeah, everyone's saying hi to each other. Yes, I see you here. Yeah, Dega Outlaw's really happy.
What
Fate
up,
off.
Adega? Adega's my guy. What up, Adega? Adega,
Yeah.
let me know if your book. I felt like I bought your book, but let me know if your book is still for sale. I want to buy it, but I felt like I bought it though. Now I'm about to say a hot take on your channel.
Okay.
Can I do a hot take?
Sure.
You might get upset with me and might kick me off the show for the rest of your life. You sure you ready for this hot take?
Um. Okay. I'm ready.
All right, here you go. Fatal J does not like Return of the Jedi. Now let me plead my case. The beginning of the movie, excelente. The ending of the movie, excelente. You know, the confrontation between Luke, Vader, and
The
Palpatine.
Emperor. Hmm.
Everything is good. The rest of the movie, it just, after you come off from a high like Empire Strikes Back, it just seemed like the movie just went way down when it comes to Return of the Jedi. I can literally tell you now. This is just for me, and this might not be for everybody else. And I know people probably want to get me with the pitchfork. This is how I can watch Return of the Jedi. The beginning of the movie when they're trying to rescue Han Solo. The middle of the movie with the speeder scene. And then the confrontation between Luke Skywalker and Palpatine, they saved the day. Boom, is over.
Hmm. Yeah, Steak says also, the Ewoks. Well, the swoop bikes. See, the swoop bikes was really cool for me because that was like the first time we'd seen something like
Yeah,
that.
the
I mean,
swoop bites. The swoop
yeah,
bites was amazing, but
yeah,
freaking Ewoks, man.
yeah.
It just,
Well,
to me, it slowed the movie way too down. It slowed the movie down.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you that as long as they stuck to the main story of Luke, Vader, because it was all about their redemption. Yes, it was perfect. But
And
and it was the
on
first
that
time some
planet,
lines landed flat too, like
but
some
it
of
was
Han
only,
Solo's lines.
yeah, and it was only on that planet. They
Mhm.
only was on that planet the whole movie.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's okay. You're allowed to have opinions here in Miss Smart Muses because I do agree with that.
I mean, I'm
It.
just saying from uh episode 5 and 6. I mean, episode 4 and 5. All
Mhm.
these epic space battles, and you have freaking Ewoks defeat the Empire.
Yeah. It the Ewoks were the weakest part. Now, as a little girl, I thought the Ewoks were awesome, but yeah, as I got older, I was like, "Oh,
I
wait
mean,
a
the
second."
Ewoks are cuddly and nice, and they're ugly teddy bears, but
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
freaking Ewoks. I mean, I just didn't understand it. I never will. I guess I never will.
Yeah, and that they're saying it was supposed to be, yeah, Soul Assassins as in Steaks, they used to be Ewoks, and they nicknamed the reverse because they couldn't use. Oh, they didn't have enough tall people. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you're right, I guess. Ewok,
So
Wookiee,
Ewoks
what
is
do you.
a scrambling of Wookiees.
Oh, well, I didn't know. I don't know what planet I've been on. I didn't catch that either. But yeah, I
I
did know that they were supposed to be Wookiees originally. Yeah, they eat people. And then when they did the Revenge of the Sith, they, with the benefit of CGI and the like, I believe that's why they decided to do the stuff with the Wookiees. They were able to do it. Um, Odega Outlaw did point out that his book can be found on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. So I
Send me a
guess if you
link, sir.
Google it,
Yeah,
yeah,
send me a link on Twitter, and I definitely support you, my brother.
yeah. Wow. But yeah, I mean, and these are all the things that inspired us as children or young adults. And even today, there was just so much magic. And to kind of take it full circle, what you were what we began talking about when we were speaking about The Hobbit. I also read The Hobbit as a child because it was a child's book. And then the Lord of the Rings was like the grown-up book, and the Silmarillion was like the college book. But like you said, those scenes with Feanor, and well, what I wouldn't give to see Feanor and his sons do that horrible oath they take, and then
That I'm telling you, that could be a 3-part movie. The Kinslaying, to me, that's
mhm,
the most amazing story with
yeah,
Tolkien, because if you did like the first movie of the Kinslaying, we're gonna see what's going on in Valinor with the Maiar. Now just think how beautiful I mean, it's like it'll be like looking at heaven, and then you see corruption going on with Feanor being mad at how they did his father, and just all that going on in a heavenly place. And then you see Feanor making the Cimarals. I mean,
that would be
that would
epic.
hands down be the most perfect movie, but I know it'll never get made. It'll never ever get made. I think
Yeah,
the only way they can make a movie like that is animation style.
hmm,
I think as far as CG live action movie, that movie will probably cost in the billions to make.
yeah. Well, and they would have to have definitely skill to show the Valinor, they'd have to show the Valar and the Mire and
The
Sauron
Valar,
and
yeah.
Melkor. That would be very, because 'cause they're very non-concrete. Now later they are like, Sauron, but when he takes different forms, but it's very hard to put that. But if they were to start it, like, right with the creation of the Cimarals and that whole story, and just taking that full circle, and we get to see the oath, the kinslaying,
And,
and then each
and
one of the
see,
sons of
and like you
Feanor
said,
dying.
that's perfect to start it out with the Cimarals, because that'll
Mhm.
kind of be like a correlation to the rings of power, or the
Mm,
one ring.
the
You know,
real ones.
that artifact that has everybody in the whole world fighting. That's how they could relate it to the Lord of the Rings, even though they shouldn't mention Lord of the Rings because that story happened centuries before. But I love that story.
Mhm.
I wish
Yeah.
somebody would come out with some graphic novels or comic books of all the stories in the Cimaril, but I know
Mhm.
legally people wouldn't be able to do that. The
Yeah,
only
and
way
it
they
would
would
have
be
to.
able to do the only way people would it is a guy on this website called Deviant Art. I saw his. I'll give you the link to that too.
Yeah.
He does great comic pages of each of the story of the Cimarals,
Oh, nice.
but I don't think no way in heck, because I know the Tolkien estate got like a deep clutch on the
Yes.
Cimarals,
And which
because
is
all the stuff
probably
that
a
we
good
got,
thing.
yeah, it is a good thing because Hollywood is trash right now, and the only reason why we got Rings of Power is because they going to buy the appendices in Lord of the Rings, right?
Mhm. And they just basically take the names because it's not even the same plot. And the whole Rings of Power thing that comes in the Second Age. It's way in the future. And but
Yeah,
but Galadriel does a whole bunch of stuff in the First Age that
she
they
does.
could show, and they just don't, like when she decides to follow Feanor and all that. Salty Traveling Sea, the kinslaying would need Shakespearean stage actors and one hell of a build up, yeah, based on the film. And I'm almost at the point where I don't want anyone to touch him.
It's gonna be, if you don't have somebody who really loves that stuff and great writers like Peter Jackson. I'm like you, I wouldn't even want them to touch it.
No.
Even
Yeah.
even though I would love to see that in live action, it that Kinsley and Feanor story, you will have to do a 3-part billion-dollar budget like
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings to pull that off.
But I'll tell you, if they did it right, they would make the kind of money Lord of the Rings made. Have
Oh
you
yeah,
seen
that would really get people into the books.
Yeah, Steve's talking about the Hobbit graphic novel by Chuck Dixon. Have you seen that one? That one's amazing.
Yes, and
Yes.
I own it. I
Yeah.
got the hardcover to it.
Yeah. And that's true. The current generation of Tolkien estate want more money more than protecting the franchise. Yeah, because I'm glad they held on to the Silmarillion and the all of the stories in there, but they were also the ones that let them do that abomination, which is with the Rings of Power. So
Now,
I
Luthien
know.
and Baron.
Oh, that would be
Uh
so cool.
oh yeah, because I think he's more of a badass than his descendant, Aragorn.
Ooh, that's fighting words, but I think you're kind of right. I mean, in the love
Just think about,
story,
look, Baron held the Cimarals in his hand.
and
Humans
well,
couldn't do that.
it was a life, and it was a love between life and death. I mean, it went beyond life and death.
I
Much
think that's
bigger.
more of an ultimate love story between Aragorn and can't
Arwen,
believe her name. And
yeah,
Erwin,
Arwen,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and the movie, they tried to make it a little more interesting, but basically most of Aragorn and Arwen's love story happened before the action. Um, let's see. Aragorn is badass in the he's in that badass in the books, really. Yeah, that's true. They made him a little more
Yeah.
actiony. Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. Aragorn is to me one of the most ultimate characters as far as being the perfect human being in written form.
Mhm.
As far as
He's a
being
king.
yeah, that's a true king right there. But I think his ancestor Baron is a little bit more epic than he was.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. Baradin Luthien is definitely one of the most loved characters. Well, before we go into our Roll 7 portion, the pub game part of our stream, is there anything you'd like to say within reason to get off your chest about the subject matter or anything else before we go?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm glad we talked to, because I usually don't have nobody to talk to when it comes to Tolkien and Middle Earth and all that type of stuff. And because even my buddies, Dark Council, they not really into Tolkien's universe and works like that. So it's always good to meet a fellow Tolkienite, you know?
Oh, wow. Well,
And
and
like even
anytime.
my family and people locally that live around me, they don't know about Tolkien, you know? Do you know people around you that's into Tolkien?
I'm lucky because I'm just around a whole bunch of like-minded, complete geeks about these
Yeah,
kinds of things, so
yeah.
yeah. Oh, wow. Yes. So, well, I'm happy that we got a chance to do it. Maybe we can in the future. Anytime you wanna yap about it, just let me
Most
know, and
definitely.
we will do so.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
yes, and they're also talking, yeah, nowadays they all want it to be in the big screen, which can be, yeah, it can be a bit of a trap unless it's done well. Hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. All righty. Well, here's how the roll 7 works. Those in the chat might go ahead and you're welcome to participate as well. We have 20 questions. Steve helped put this together. He and my mother, and tested by my dad and everybody. So I roll 7 times for each one. There is an open-ended question. So we're starting with roll 1. It is Fatal J. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Listen to other people.
Ooh. I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, but you're kind of right. Within reason. Sometimes you do need to.
What that person meant when they I understood what they meant. Sometimes you have to listen to yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know those old shows that say be yourself and don't follow the crowd? It's a
Yeah.
reason why you feel that way and people feel different. That's you know
Yeah.
what I
No,
meant
that
by
makes sense. Within reason.
yeah.
Steve, wait, Potato Ribbon says, be quiet. Oh, he says, listen to the damn Viking is good advice. Oh, and speaking of which, you got a compliment here. One can tell after 2 seconds that Fatal J truly loves Tolkien. It shines through. Yes, it
Oh
does.
man. Sometimes I just like if I want to relax, I cut it on YouTube and just watch Tolkien lore. And I promise you, this is the benefit of being a Tolkien fan. You find out new stuff every day, and the man been dead years ago. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah,
You
before
find
we
out.
were born.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, darn right. Yep, and that's the kind of thing you can't fake.
yeah,
Steve says, I do the same. Lore videos are great. Yes, they are. And it's just so good. You can't ever get to the end of it. It goes on and on. That's the
yeah.
best.
Don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's your favorite TV show and why?
man. I could have answered that better if you said favorite movie. My favorite TV show. I don't know. I would have to say my favorite TV show of all time. I don't know.
Well, you like Star Trek. We know that. You have a great love of Star Trek. But yeah, it's hard to
No,
choose
but
one, isn't it?
it is hard to choose one. I wouldn't. Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Mm, that's fair. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people just loved it. Oh, hello,
Hold
Good
on, you
Virtue.
never. What up, Wicked Virtue? You never seen Deep Space Nine?
Oh, who, me? Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've heard a
Oh,
lot of
okay,
people say that
okay,
it's their favorite. Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear.
gotcha.
Yeah, no. Oh,
I'm
all
about to
right,
say,
yeah,
you know what? Cut this stream off and watch it now.
yeah. No,
You
I
know?
watched it as it came out. I've watched all of
Okay.
them up through Enterprise. Twin X Files for me says Twin Peaks a close second. Okay, and Dragon Ball Z says Biggles Mets.
I see Biggles. I thought about Dragon Ball Z, but it's too much filler in there for me to say Dragon Ball Z. And then
Mhm,
some of the sagas are terrible. But when it comes to Deep Space Nine, everything is perfect. Every season, perfect.
mhm.
Characters, perfect. Story, perfect. So I will
Yeah.
have to go with Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it's great. It really is, and it was so different from the other Star Treks. Of course, Steve
Yeah.
has to come in, not to be confused with Deep Space 9 inches, which is just a different genre entirely. But bum. All right, third roll. Um, what's the number say? All right, if you could remove one invention from the world, what would it be and why? That's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one. Uh man, this is tough. Cell phones.
Ah, interesting. And why?
Just go outside.
Yeah.
and see what people are doing when they're driving. When they are driving, or go somewhere, go to a public setting. What are
Oh,
people
yeah.
doing? What are
Pe
people doing?
Yeah, they're not living. They're living off their screen. You're right.
We're zombies now.
Mhm.
Think about how life was better when you had your house phone, not your cell phone.
Yeah.
You thought better. You wasn't glued to social media. You wasn't glued to the internet.
Mhm.
Cell phones have ruined us. Now you can use cell phones to your advantage because the same technology. Let me see my cell phone right here. The same technology that's in this made astronauts go to the moon, but I will honestly say this right here destroyed us
Mhm.
because this is all we do. I was driving home from this Christmas this Christmas thing they was having, the Christmas party. And I was driving this to a young lady, okay? And she
Mhm.
was swerving on the road, and I happened to get right beside her, and she was just like this on her phone the whole time. Now, while I was looking at her, I would have thought every 10 seconds she would look up. Literally for 1 minute, she was into her phone
Oh,
driving.
that's dangerous.
Yep. So cell phones.
Cell phones. Okay. Biggle still goes with communism, potato rev nuclear bombs, Stieg weapons. Try going outside and read a Tolkien book under a tree. It's perfect. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. The phone is good for communication. That's the best part. But you're right. Before
And see, that's what I'm saying. I said just cell phones because with house phone, you could call somebody in Italy or something. But
Mhm.
with cell phones, it's the other stuff that come with the phone.
Yeah.
We're using phones for everything other than talking on the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, back in the day when cell phones were just coming out and it was just a phone, it was fine. I think it was once it got connected to the internet, that was when
Once it
everything.
got connected to the internet and they started making apps, that's
Mhm.
when we was in trouble.
Yep, you've got it.
Yeah,
Mhm. Alrighty. The next roll. What's the most annoying question you've ever been asked?
that's a good question.
Besides
The
this one.
most
I always say, you're not allowed to say this question.
Okay, the most annoying thing that I've been asked is I was visually in a bad mood. And the most annoying thing that people say to me, and I guess you can put this in the most annoying thing, everything okay?
Oh, I
No, you
gotcha.
freaker, get away from me.
Oh, yeah, I love it when you're sitting there bawling your eyes out and they're like, "Is everything okay?" It's like, "What do you
Yeah.
think?"
And see, this is what I do. If I know the person, I don't even talk to them because I learned in psychology. Like let's just say somebody is grieving out there. If they're grieving, just your presence there is all people need. They don't
Mhm,
even most of the time want you to talk. So if I see somebody in a position like that, I make sure don't not to ask a dumb question like is everything okay? I just make sure that like if I know the person, rub their back, you know what I mean,
mhm,
or just stand next to them quietly until they start speaking. You
mhm.
know, I know it's a natural human reaction to ask, "Is everything okay?" But that's annoying to me. That's
Yeah.
very annoying. You
Well,
know.
there we go. Is everything okay, Fatal? You knew that was coming. "Are you awake?" says Steve. "That's annoying." Yeah. It's fine. Thank you, Biggles. Yep, that's a good one. If you could travel back in time, when would you go to and why?
Man, that's a real good question. If I could travel back in time, what time would it be? If I could travel back in time, it would probably be the Egyptians building the pyramids.
Ooh. And you'd be able to
Because
see if they were aliens.
yeah, I need to know. Like, how is that still standing? You
Mm,
know how many structures on this planet have like literally crumbled and
yeah.
they're done? How is that still standing there? How
Yeah.
is that there? How was that so massive? How did y'all drag that? Did y'all drag the bricks on the Nile? Think how long that took to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They say a single brick on the pyramid is the size of a normal house. How did they do that? So it would have to be the Egyptian time.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would want to know too. I think that's the first time someone's said that for theirs. Zeke says, I'd travel back and warn Lucas not to sell Star Wars to Disney with documentation of how they lied to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Oh, 10,000 BC, Atlantans with mammoths. Yeah, as long as you're protected and don't get eaten by them, then that's a good thing. If you didn't have to sleep, what would you do with the extra time?
Work on a business or work on something that's going to benefit my life. So yeah, if I didn't have sleep, I will be doing something beneficial to better my life, to be in a more comfortable position in my life
Oh,
if I couldn't sleep.
no.
Have you ever thought about sleep?
Yeah, I love it, but you're right. It's forever, isn't it?
It's like dying. It's death. You die.
Oh, yeah. I guess when you think about it like that, because you're just completely unconscious, you're not aware, you're in this weird dream state.
But I listened to a rapper named Nas, and he got a song where he says sleep is the cousin of death. Now I never did think about that until that rap song, but every night we're dying. We
Yeah.
just happen to wake up again. But one day
Yikes.
we're not. One day we're gonna go to sleep and not wake up.
My goodness, Fatal J, that is grim. Have a happy weekend, everybody. Yeah, they're talking about
Good night. Good night.
yeah, sleep well, sleep well. Oh no. And last but certainly not least, what's okay, besides your loved ones and Jesus or your religion of choice, what's the one thing you can't live without? Yeah. Someone tried
That's
Jesus.
hard, man. Because I don't need anything without Jesus, without my family and loved ones. I don't need anything. So what can I not live without this
Sorry.
materialistic? Okay, I'm gonna say it. The internet.
Hmm?
The internet. No, okay, I take that back. Food, because you see how big I am. So food and water. I cannot live without that. So boom,
Yeah.
there you go. Food and water.
Yeah, big sun water too. Well, actually, that's true. We would all die, wouldn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Well, that's good. Yeah, other people have said books, coffee. Coffee's a popular one.
I like this roll seven. You made me really use my noodle.
There
I
we go.
usually
You
don't
see?
do that on streams.
Yeah, I don't just get to muse, you get to muse. Left and right brain activated. Well, there we
Yeah.
go. Oh, Steve says books. Yeah, because the mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone. Mhm.
Yeah, but you can't eat books and drink them. So I'll take water.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair. Well, great. Well, we have come to the end of the roll 7. Fatal J, can you please tell us where we can find you? What's coming up?
You can find me on the Fatal J channel where I will be talking about Steve Urkel and Pee Wee Herman. Also, I will be talking about things like how do I get myself out of my mom's basement? It's been a tough job. She's ready to kick me out. She's sick of me. She says I have 30 days to get out of her house or she's going to beat me senseless. So I will probably be making videos about that. But besides that, everything is going good. Make sure to check out that Ninja Blast 2 email list. Now, I'm probably not going to be dropping on Indiegogo. I will be dropping on Kickstarter. I'm going to re-drop Ninja Blast 1 with new covers. Then 20 days after that, I'm going to be launching the Ninja Blast 2 campaign. So you want to check that out? Join the email list. Thank you so much, Miss Teresa Martin, for having me on the show. I appreciate you greatly.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you so much for coming on. And of course, all of the chat. And you can find me here in Miss Martin Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. I'm going to be continuing with some more pub crawl, Ryan Kinnell this Thursday. And a few other invitations, but I want to hold off until they're for sure. Oh, Mr. Grant Gregory will be here on March the 7th, we had to reschedule. Also, some of my musings, some more about psychopaths, covert narcissists, movies and books, and anything else. You can also sometimes find me talking about A Song of Ice and Fire on Sporking's channel. He's saying, oh, yes, and here's the Ninja Blast. And yeah, Biggles. Oh,
Who
dear,
was your
Biggles.
favorite character on House of Dragons?
Who's my favorite character, House of the Dragons? Oh, well, it's hard because I think they're all absolutely terrible and horrible, but my favorite to watch is Damon.
The only person who was a morally good person was the king that started deteriorating.
That's true, except he messed up everything because he out of love for his daughter.
But it was so hard for him to pick the
Yeah,
right thing. But I think he did the right choice because his daughter was the oldest. She was the oldest of them all.
yeah,
And then I think it was, even though this is very disgusting, I think it's still perfect because Damon married her. So that even makes it more concrete that she's
true.
the chosen one.
And have you read the book?
I probably won't ever read the books. But I've seen all the shows, like all the episodes.
Okay, because I won't tell you. You'll wait and see. But we do know it started a civil war. We do know it started a civil war. But
Well,
I
help
will.
me out now. Daenerys Targaryen, she comes through the line of Rhaenyra and Daemon, right?
I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil anything from the TV show. Okay, so I
Okay,
don't
got you,
spoil it because
got you,
it'll spoil if you want to
got you.
stay unspoiled. But I will agree with you that he tried to do the right thing by his family. That
Yes, to me, he was the only morally good character. But when it comes to Game of Thrones, well, at least the TV show, at least morally good characters die quick in that
yeah,
universe.
good intentions ruin everything.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you again, once again, and everyone that has participated in chat. I would be nothing without you. Please sub to Fatal J and sign up for his email. And have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to read, 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 and then when you're done, read some more.